All right, guys, let's go. Let's get this thing done.
Overall thoughts on what you've seen from Duke?
Oh, I mean, they're obviously a very talented group, and it's a great program. It's got amazing, legacy in college basketball, and it's an honor to have them come to Tucson to play us. I'm thankful for the opportunity. They've done a nice job. They built a really good team. They got really, really talented pieces. They got some established veterans and roles that I think are going to really serve them well over the course of the season. And they look to be formidable. And I'm sure, like a lot of teams, that they're a team that's hoping to improve over the course of the year. And if they continue to improve, I mean, they're formidable now. I mean, they could be a great team this year for sure.
Different than last year's team when you look at them, as far as, they have so many new guys, freshmen.
Yeah, I think there's some differences, but they still have really talented players last year, and they have, really talented players this year, and Filipowski and Cooper Flagg. I mean, I'm not going to act like they're the same player, but they both, are pieces you can kind of play around and build around, and so they've done a good job, kind of building around those guys, and the complementary guys are great players on their own, and so. It's definitely going to be. They present a lot of challenges for sure.
What makes Cooper Flagg so special?
Man, listen, I only know him pretty much from afar, but I think you're just impressed with his competitiveness. How talented he is, how he impacts the game in so many ways, but he really does it. By making a lot of simple plays. I mean, he's not a guy that seems to overcomplicate things, and he's a 6'9" guy with a live body and great instincts and great IQ. He's got great hands. He's definitely, they're putting him in a position where he's being a bit of a playmaker, and he's thriving in that role with the ball in his hands. So, yeah, he's just a really, really, really good player who has a really bright future.
After looking at the tape from Wisconsin, what do you think you guys have you've learned the most about your team?
Well, obviously, we got to handle, playing on the road better. And listen, Wisconsin, it was a great atmosphere that day. To go put your team to that test early in the season, there's a chance it could go the way it went. You have to be realistic, and when you schedule out, and we went in there and knew it was going to be a tough game, and they have. They have some veteran players that are really good and maybe a little bit under the radar and a little bit undervalued. And, kind of picking that up on film, I was kind of seeing that, and it played out that way. And then their role players played really well on top of it. That happens on certain days. Obviously, the things we got to address is the fouling. You got to give yourself a chance to stay in a road game, and you can't allow a team to shoot 47 free throws, and you definitely can't. You don't want to be behind the free throw index 23-2, in the first half. I mean, it's really hard to overcome that, and there's not nothing on refereeing. That's just on we've got to do a better job, as players and coaches of managing that.
You said after the game, Tommy, that the team did not adjust though to the way that they were calling the game. What does that adjustment look like? Is that less aggressive defense, or is that just?
Probably just being cleaner. I'm sure there's some fouls there that you just wish you wouldn't have had. You could have been a little cleaner with your hands and your positioning, things like that. But hey, we're a physical team, and we're not going to run away from that. We built our team a certain way, and we always have, and it just didn't go our way that day.
Do you believe that sometimes things are just called tighter in November, and maybe when you get to March, it's
listen, we could turn this into a long press conference about officiating and the trends of, and we probably could go to Bob Dobbs after and have the conversation for another 6 hours. It'd be great. But I got practice. Maybe Saturday. You and I can go do that. No, but Bruce, you're right. Bruce, I'm making a joke, and I'm going to answer your question. I was just making a joke. Sometimes you see that and feel that, you know what I mean? I think, you want to know how these games going to be called in March, how these games going to be called on a neutral court, and that's what you're searching for early in the year, I'm trying to do the best job I can, paying attention to how other games are being called, when I'm watching on TV, and I think we're on the right track. And listen, if we're not, we would definitely have to adjust. But we can't let one game on the road early in the year kind of knock us off our path with our confidence and conviction for how we play. So, it'll be interesting to see how, what officiating looks like over the course of the season. But hey, all in all, guys, I'm a good supporter of refs. We have great communication with our officials in the Big 12. That they're very clear and concise on what they're looking for from us, and I appreciate that. So this is not turning into, complaining about officials' press conference, because, hey, guys, that was almost a week ago, and we're on to the next thing.
Since three-point shooting, did you see a breakdown in terms of your defense or just shots falling for them?
A little bit of both. We got punched a little bit, and I thought we did a great job of battling back. And that's a characteristic of a good team. And but a great team battles back and then finds a way from there to take the next step and try to win that game at the end. And we just didn't do that. So we got to still grow. I think there was a few breakdowns on our coverages. They put you in some tough spots. They're a ball control offense, and with experienced players, and they did a good job of putting us in a few situations where we had to make decisions, and then we might have made the right decision, but they made the shot. We made the wrong decision, they missed the shot. So those kind of things play out. But at the end of the day, the number one answer is let's make more right decisions, and then the odds hopefully go in our favor.
How would you assess Anthony DeLorso's play so far?
Delhi had a great summer and fall for us. I think he's kind of in a position where he's figuring it out at this level a little bit. And, I think when he's getting out there playing, he's a very smart player. I think he just got to get a little more comfortable knowing the absolutes in our system and what works in our system, as opposed to maybe ad-libbing, some. So, I think, we give our guys a lot of freedom, and he's somebody I really, value him as a player, and I trust his IQ. Now we just, he and I just got to make sure we're connecting on, the decisions he's making on the court, and understanding the why he's doing certain things. I want to understand why he's doing them, and he needs to understand why I want maybe him to do other things. So we just got to keep building that connection, and we're having those conversations daily.
How'd that go for him defensively as well? Because it seems like there were a couple times in the Wisconsin game where.
Yeah, I mean, he listen, at this level, you got to have some defensive swag. I mean, you're going to be playing in high-level games every single night, every night. And the other team's going to have really good players. And, you can't, no weak links, you got to do it. And he knows that, and he's on it. And, there's a little bit of a learning curve there as well. So I definitely think he's capable of doing it, and then I think we'll see improvements, soon.
Is the free throw shooting a little bit of a concern for you, given that you guys shot 70% from the line against Wisconsin, and this year you've been around 65, 66?
So sorry, what did you say? What's the one?
Is that a little bit of a concern?
What kind of shooting?
Free throw.
I mean, listen, yeah, it is a concern when you're comparing yourself to a team that beat you and made 41 out of 47, that's impressive. So, yeah, we should be a good free throw shooting team. That's something that I would hope that we would become, and we definitely gotta value getting to the line, because we're a team that gets to the free throw line as well. So it's a big part of our offense. So I have no immediate concerns. Now listen, let's see how it plays out. But I think hopefully the free throw line, most days for us will be an advantage.
Go ahead, Dave.
How did you evaluate Caleb's performance, and why it was difficult for him to maybe find a flow?
Yeah, obviously it wasn't one of Caleb's better games. He knows that. I was disappointed in how he responded, to that situation early in the game, and he knows that. You can't be giving up a 7-point play on the road. There's just no reason for it. Could it have been called different? Could it have been a double technical with no free throws? Maybe, but they didn't. So that they called a technical on him. So keep your hands to yourself. It's easy, and you know what? People are going to say stuff to you. Walk away. It's about winning the game. It ain't about winning a personal battle. So Caleb's been in this situation before, and he's my guy, and he's going to bounce back, and hopefully this will be just another learning lesson for him.
With the, regardless of last week, you look at Duke as the kind of team where you would have to be careful defending, and with the way they can pick up fouls, and they're shooting pretty well at the line. I think Fly was got 19 free throws or something in 4 games. That's something particularly you have to worry about.
I mean, it could be for sure. I mean, like, listen, they're good players. I mean, if if there's driving lanes, I'm sure they're going to attack them. You got to play clean downhill. And on your first slide, second slide, you got to fight. To stay in good position, play clean, play rim. Plays at the rim, you got to play clean. I mean, it's always a concern. I mean, it's just when you play a good team, because we're not just going to stand in the paint and let them shoot wide open threes just so they don't get layups. Like, I mean, you against a team like Duke, you got to do both things. I mean, there's no other way to be competitive if you're just going to do one or the other.
Where do you want to see Carter grow more as a player in the early season with the game?
I just want him to keep getting these experiences. I think Carter's had a good week of practice. I just want to see him get these experiences, so you can kind of tell someone how you think it's going to be. But there's no better teaching tool than personal experience, and I think he's getting the experiences he needs, and I think let's give Carter a little time. Give him a little time and a little space, and I think in a few weeks, or a month, I think we'll really start to see, Carter growing as a player, and that's my outlook. Now, hey, if he plays well Friday, listen, he's going to get opportunities. So it's not like he's not going to play. We're not putting him on ice, but I just think with somebody like a young player like Carter, you just have to give him a little bit of space and kind of let him figure it out a little bit, and we'll help him with that.
Your previous teams here have always showed the ability to maybe play some of their best games immediately after a loss. This team, do you have to lean more on the returners for this first opportunity of, hey, learn from what you just did wrong?
Not really. I mean, we're approaching it like we would after any other, bounce back type game, and we felt like we've addressed a lot of the things in practice. That doesn't guarantee that they're all solved, and because I think I'm sure things will still continue to pop up, but no, we have good dudes, and these guys know that obviously they know we lost last game, they know we didn't maybe play as well as we'd hoped, so let's kind of circle the wagons and see what it looks like tomorrow night. I mean that's the mindset. So there's nothing extra, or I'm not leaning on this guy versus that guy or anything like that.
Shire said something like they have 11 good guys. It's hard to play 11 guys. I mean, obviously a good problem to have, but I wondered, do you sense that maybe they're going through a little bit what you're going through, where you have a lot of guys and you're still sorting out your rotation?
Well, I'm sure they are. Now, I haven't talked to John in a few weeks, so I mean, I'm not privy to what he's thinking, but yeah, I mean, listen, I think he and I are both trying to build our programs for the long haul, and we're not going to get caught up in a tough game. I mean, I don't know how many programs would, do what he and I are doing with scheduling. There are some that are, but you go out and you play on the road at Wisconsin, the 3rd game, and he's coming to play at Arizona, the 4th game after, he's already played Kentucky. I mean, and then he's got Kansas following us. Like, I mean, he's trying to give his team the experiences he thinks he needs to give them so they can be great in conference play and for a postseason run. And we're doing the same. I mean, we're doing the same. It's just, hey, maybe the last couple of years we won a couple of those early games, and so everyone thinks you have all the answers when you don't. And then you lose a couple of the games. Doesn't mean you're going to have a bad year. I mean, it's just, it's just kind of, just staying steady. I mean, staying steady, and that's something we're going to focus on.
Do you feel like maybe more so than their first 3 years, you're still a little more unsettled with rotation at this point?
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, I mean, we're figuring it out, and I mean, I don't feel unsettled. I just want to make sure guys, are getting opportunities I think they've earned, and you know what, the tough thing in this business, and maybe John and I are saying the same thing, is guys can earn the opportunity, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. For whatever reason, but that doesn't mean it won't happen over the course of a season. So, I'm keeping my eyes on our guys, and I think we're okay. I'm not sensing anything that to tell me otherwise.
Rebounding numbers have been really strong the first few games, but do you feel like you've maximized those extra chances you've gotten on the offensive glass?
I mean, listen, on every offensive rebound, you want to score. I mean, offensive rebounding, usually leads to some of the most efficient shots in the game because you're close to the basket. There's foul pressure, I don't know exactly what our numbers are after an offensive rebound, but I would just say overall, I just want to keep our offense, trending in the right direction, and hopefully, we can, get better at what we want to do, make adjustments where we need to make adjustments as things play out.
Thought you would be in the offensive in terms of rebounding, or is he exceeding?
Yeah, I mean, he's great. I mean, listen, Tobey goes and gets the ball. He's relentless. And, I think, he gets support from our other guys, which helps. I mean, he's not a one-man show in there rebounding. I mean, he's got teammates there right by his side. And, he's taken advantages of the balls that have bounced his way, and he's went and gotten balls out of his area. I mean, that's what great rebounders do. So, I have no complaints with, Tobey, and, I knew he was going to be an impact player here, so I love to see that early.
Do you think other bigs have kind of fed off of his energy in the post, how he rebounds the basketball?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, you hope it's contagious, but like rebound is something we coach every day. So, I don't want to, to say, Tobey showed up here and now, the other bigs decided they want to rebound. I mean, it's something we valued, every day of practice, in my time here at Arizona. So, and it's something we're going to continue to value.
Is he playing well enough that when Mo's fully cleared for minutes that it makes a question mark for you what you do with your starting lineup?
I mean, we'll see. Those are things we got to figure out over the course of the season. I honestly don't think, there's a 100% right answer, 100% wrong answer, and I don't know if whoever we decide there, if it actually impacts the final outcome of the game, because they're both going to play.
How about just the big picture? We all know how focused you are on game to game, but this is not only a big game, but it's Duke. I mean, do you hear that from people? Do you feel, at least externally, maybe it's...
Are you trying to knock me off of my just be in the moment, stay in the moment? You think you can do that? No. No, hey, come on, Bruce. Obviously, it's a great honor to have Duke here. These are the kind of games Arizona basketball should be playing. We're happy to be playing in them. And you know what? In order to continue playing in them, we got to perform as a program. Plain and simple. And so, we don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse. We know if we perform and we can be one of the better programs in college basketball, we're going to continue to get these opportunities. So we're not going to take it for granted. And we know there's a lot of work left to be done. Thanks, guys.
Tobey, how would you describe this past game for you, both from the rebounding standpoint, but also like the foul standpoint?
Just have to be a little bit more disciplined. I thought for the most part, they came on a rebound, so that's sort of part of my game, being aggressive, going for those offensive rebounds. So, those I don't really get too mad at myself about. It's just, kind of me being me. But just got to mitigate those fouls that are sort of away from the basket, around the three-point line, whether, it's hand checks or just silly fouls, reaching in, things like that. Rebound-wise, I thought I did a solid job. Probably could have done better on the defensive glass. I thought offensively I did, pretty well.
On On the offensive glass side, like, are you, if you're getting one really close to the ring, are you looking first to put it back up? Or is that not always the first thing that you're?
It kind of just depends on my positioning. You know, when I do get an offensive rebound, it's kind of tough because you're usually like jumping in the air and then you land, and you know where you jump from is not where you landed, so you kind of have to reaccount for where the basket is and where the defender is in proportion to the basket. So usually, if it's not like a clear shot, I'll try to kick it out.
You played in a lot of big games, obviously, last week included, but how does facing Duke compare in your mind? I mean, does it feel any different?
Well, I mean, you kind of understand the pageantry of that whole program and organization, who they are. You don't really take that lightly, but at the same time, you just have to sort of stick to the principles that have sort of founded our program and what we sort of hang our hat on and move forward with that. Obviously, giving full respect to our opponent, in the midst of that.
How important are these games for college basketball to have two programs like Duke and Arizona do a home and home and have an opportunity to play in front of a home crowd on a Friday night?
It's a great thing. I think both sides, coaches included, but obviously for the players, we're competitors, and that's sort of what we want at this level, playing the best of the best. And last year, I know that we were able to get it done at their place, so we know that with them coming here, they're looking for sort of a vengeance, and it's going to be exciting.
Do you get excited for individual matchups? Like the fact that you're playing a guy that's probably going to be one of the top picks in the draft, do you pay attention to that stuff?
Honestly, no. I just try not to get really self-absorbed about it. I feel like it kind of takes away from the team, kind of making it about myself. But with that being said, a team full of highly touted guys, you see it as a opportunity for us to stamp our team as a title contender, a top team in the country. So when you have an opponent like that coming into your building, obviously you take recognition of the guys individually, but you kind of understand what a win like that does for the team as a whole.
What do you see on tape when you look at Cooper Flag?
He's a great talent. Great at sort of using the ball screen to his advantage. Great to dribble, spin, coming down the lane. But he's a winning player. He's a winning player who makes winning plays, and we just have to be cognizant of him, when he's on the floor.
When you look at guys like him or their big guy, particularly about fouling and how do you defend them without fouling, do you have to focus on that a lot? I mean, especially because those guys are pretty good at picking up fouls, it seems
Yeah,
like.
for sure. I think it's just understanding their individual tendencies. What moves a guy like Flag likes to do in certain areas on the floor within certain situations. Obviously, the kid Maluwak is a big guy, so he's prone to drawing fouls and things like that. So I think it's just being well positioned and knowing where he is at all times, and sort of doing your work early and sort of not being behind where you have to foul or things like that.
I understand some of the students are gonna camp in here tonight, and there's more going on with them. I didn't know in Tennessee, did they have student campsites or anything before a big game or anything? Do you remember anything like that, or is it more obviously?
I think here and there. I think it would be just like big crowds before games, before the sort of like the ticket office opened. But hearing that they're camping out like a whole day before, I haven't really had too much experience with that. But I think it's cool, and it's just a testament to, the fans that we have here and how much they care, and what they sort of mean to this program.
Have you? I don't know. If you heard from other students around, this week and all, anybody saying anything about the game or that they're looking forward to any of that kind of stuff? Or I don't know if you could.
Not too much. I haven't been. On campus, too much. Just been busy with stuff. But I have class tomorrow, so I'm sure might get some people coming up to me and things like that. But just friends and family and stuff like that are excited to watch the game. They've been sort of texting me about it, things like that. So.
What's the book of the moment?
So I'm reading a book by C.S. Lewis. It's called Tragedy Observed. It's a great book. Great book.
What's it about? What do you like about it?
It's just sort of looking into Christianity and sort of how. The book is called A Grief Observed. Sorry. It looks into sort of the death of his wife and how he's coping with that, being a Christian, and sort of how he battles the emotion and sort of feeling lost, and sort of the disconnect he feels with his faith when he loses his wife, and sort of his battles with that. So it's been a great read. It's very authentic. You know, he goes kind of deep into his emotion of, you know, how that whole event really affected him.
How many books would you say you read in a month? Or?
You know, with school now, school's been kind of, you know, more tedious. So I haven't really been able to read as many as I would like, but I would probably say around two or three.
The week go, by the way. You guys came back pretty late Sunday morning, I understand. Like, was it tough to recover from that and then get straight, you know, you have a day or two off and then get into practice? Like, how was that whole routine?
I mean, he was a little, you know, different, you know, just coming back late, obviously with the travel. That played a big part, but, you know, having the day off the next day was nice, and then, you know, sort of getting back to it. But, you know, credit to our coaches and our staff. They do a great job of, you know, sort of sorting out all those logistics and, you know, making sure our bodies and just, you know, ourselves mentally and physically are taken care of.